giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Boston Scientific, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom. Oh yeah, baby, we picking up this free agency primer. I throw a little curveball. We're going to talk about the defensive tackle market. And no, Tyron Payne is not one of the 4 options. Again, I like to throw y'all a curveball sometimes with those thumbnails. But I got 4 options. We got the Catboy criteria side, and we got the Wildcat and Jerry side. But I'm going to tell you why the Wildcat and Jerry side is not that far-fetched if they're willing to just go a little bit above their tendencies in free agency, just a little bit. I'm not asking them dudes to go crazy, but if they're willing to go a little bit above the most they've spent in the last 5-6 years in free agency, there's a chance you can get this guy, and I think he can make a big difference. So we'll talk about the 3 Catboy guys. That could be a factor, but that Wildcat and Jerry, I think could help out this defense and help out Micah Parsons, who wants some help in the middle. What's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
We also going to talk about, hey, they really trying to get Tyron Smith, man. They really trying to get Tyron Smith back here. So we'll dive into that contract situation. And then the DeAndre Hopkins thing. There's a box that has been checked that can make that dream more reality. But we talked about how difficult that would be. And one of the things that made it difficult, sounds like DeAndre Hopkins is willing to move on. So we'll talk about that in the roundup. Then we'll get into the meat and potatoes with this Cowboys free agency primer, talking about defensive tackles. And I already see my guy Toxic's like, it's about to be a depressing show. Usually, right? Usually we talk about these Catboy criterias and they're not fun options. But I think a couple of the Catboy criterias, I think you'll like them. The Wildcat and Jerry you'll really like. And this is a position where if they go a little cheap here, there's a possibility to get some guys that can help you out. We saw with Jonathan Hankins put a pin in that. So let's talk about it, Cowboys Nation. All right? Let's talk about it. Let's use our imaginations a little bit, man. What's up with y'all, though? We got $12.95 Top Shot in the building. Captain America in the building. Jerry Jones. Bargain? Who's this guy? Man? Gregory, what up? James Rogley. Toxic Tom, of course. What happened, Jameson? Oh, I have to go. What's up, James? How you doing, man? Splenda Poppy Joey Vila. Hallelujah. What's up? Who else we got in here? CJ in the building. Swain. Rosetta over on Facebook. Shout out to Facebook. Rocking with us this morning. Sin City. What's up, Sin City? It's been a minute since I've seen you, man. Been a minute. Iceberg Q. I'm sure Iceberg Slim will be coming here. My bad for getting y'all mixed up sometimes. There's Iceberg Q, and we got Iceberg Slim. My bad, man. I apologize. Peter Rizzo in the building. Dark Skin Rare Breed. What's up, man, over on Facebook? John Garcia. And the many more coming through. What's up, bands? I see you. A lot of our regulars up in the building. I appreciate y'all being here. There you go. King Element dropped in here. And let's get this thing started. Stephen White, I see you dropped up in here. Chris Vargo. I really want to talk about these free agents because I truly believe Dallas needs to attack this position in this market because they don't attack this position in the draft. Not at least until day 3, right? So they got to get some guys, maybe multiple guys, at this position to help out the Micah Parsons, the D-Laws, the Dorrance Armstrongs, and these linebackers, whoever the hell is going to be back there. They really have to address this. So I want to get into that. But first, we got to handle this Cowboys news in the roundup.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. Time?
It is time for
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Hey, yo. I guess they really is trying to bring back Tyron Smith, huh? Man, this could be a show in of itself. But here's the latest on Tyron Smith. So last week, Jerry came out and said, "Oh no, we're trying to bring back Tyron Smith and Jason Peters." Or it was a couple weeks ago, whenever it was. New report came out yesterday. Jeremy Fowler, quote, "The Cowboys are working on a resolution to bring 8-time Pro Bowler Tyron Smith back for a 13th season, which could include a reworked contract." Per sources, Smith is due $13.6 million in the final year of his deal. We kind of explored many options here with Tyron Smith. The obvious one would be to just cut ties, save your money, and move forward. But we also discussed what are the options if he were to return. I think it would have to be something in this fashion, right? Rip up the contract, rework it, drop that salary significantly down, and use whatever money that you save via free agency or to extend somebody, what have you. Here's my problem. I don't believe this is for depth. I don't believe this is, because we want to use money elsewhere. I think they truly are trying to bring him back to be the starter at left tackle. Look, man, when Tyron Smith was healthy and playing, Tyron Smith was one of them ones at left tackle. But 17 games out of the last, 50? What was the number we did? 2, 11, and 4 over the last 3 seasons. You cannot go into this season depending on Tyron Smith. It went from, okay, I can live with Tyron Smith missing 3 games. Because that's about what he missed on average. 3 games. Went from 3 to averaging like 8 to, damn, he barely even made it out of camp. Matter of fact, he did not make it out of camp. So we have this thing over on Vacha Show where we say we have to address the wide receiver position like Tober doesn't exist, like Gallup doesn't exist. I feel the same way about tackle. I want to address this position like Tyron doesn't even exist. Because you can't rely on Tyron Smith anymore. A lot of people say, well, you don't know. He could be healthy this year. He could. But the data shows he won't. So what does a rework contract look like? We got to wait and see. Likely probably something like a 1 year or 2 year deal in the neighborhood of sub 7 million per. But it really isn't the numbers that worry me. Because again, we've come to the conclusion that Dallas isn't going to spend a ton in free agency. What's the role though? What's the role? Is the role he's starting left tackle, move Tyler Smith into guard? Look, I'm for moving Tyron into guard if it's going to be for a guy that you can count on, depend on for the future at left tackle. That ain't Tyron no more. I'm all about seeing Tyler Smith be a nasty guard. Only if you give me a left tackle of the future. That ain't Tyron anymore. So this is a wait and see approach here. I don't swing tackle, backup. I don't see that happening, man. I don't think Tyron's coming back to be that. So we have to monitor this situation and see where they go from here. But I feel like if they were to bring Tyron back, this could be an indication that they do not want to take an offensive lineman early in the draft. And I know Danny his head is about to explode hearing that. Much like the Cowboys, though, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Zeke is our left tackle. So this is the 4th day in a row, I can't remember, that we've brought up DeAndre Hopkins. It started off as a he, now it's a he, hell. So funny, because yesterday we said, hey, DeAndre Hopkins I can understand the actual interest, the Cowboys sniffing around his trade market, because this is the one position that they do something like that, right? They've traded for the Roy Williams of the world. They traded up for Dez Bryant. They traded for Joey Galloway. They traded for Amari Cooper. So, and then they were sniffing around the trade market at the deadline, and they wanted to try to go get Odell Beckham. So when it comes to wide receiver and the Cowboys' interest, it is believable. But we also said it's a lot that has to happen. And one of those things that had to happen was Hopkins had to have some flexibility in his contract. According to Ian Rappaport, DeAndre Hopkins went on Pat McAfee's show and said he's been hearing a lot about the trade talk. So he is very well aware that he could be on the move. And then obviously he had the video with Dez where, Cowboy fans have been talking about him, and he knows that. Social media allows these players to know what's going on out here in the fandom world. But according to Ian Rappaport, it's of his understanding that if a trade were to happen, he'd be flexible on the last 2 years of his contract rather than shoot for a top of the market deal. Well, sir, sign me up. I mean, you could sign me up already. But if D-Hop is truly willing to say, hey, look, I made my bread. I just want to get out this toxic situation over here in Arizona. And the next stop that I'm at, I'm willing to be flexible in those last 2 years to make this thing work. 100% all in on this. Well, Sky's not a speedster. Go get you a speedster. This is DeAndre Hopkins we're talking about. This is a superstar. This is a stud. Is likely going to go into the Hall of Fame. And he's still balling. Sign me up, Cowboys Nation. Does this change for those in the chat that were like, nah, I'm good on D-Hop, too old, too much money? Does this change your mind a little bit? Would you be willing to acquire DeAndre Hopkins if he is more flexible on the cap, on the money, or what have you? I'm sure this makes Stephen Jones perk up a little bit.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
King said I wanted him anyway. Hopkins for a 2+ Gallimore. Let's go, says Professor O. I feel like in any scenario with D-Hop trade with Arizona, we got to ship off Michael Gallup, right? Like, we got to ship off. I don't know what the cap ramifications are for trading Michael Gallup after 1 year of signing a 5-year deal, but I feel like that's got to happen. Everybody seems to be in on this. I know there were a few people who were out, but this should at least moved it a little bit. But doesn't that sound about right? Maybe King, maybe Professor O, somebody can go get the ramifications if you trade a Michael Gallup in this situation. How much does that affect the Cowboys cap? But I almost feel like you can't. I mean, you can bring in D-Hop and keep Gallup, but where's my button?
Motherfucker, for what?
Why? Jermaine said he would love to see D-Hop. Whatever happened to us and Odell Beckham, says $12.95. Nothing. There's still interest there. According to Jerry Jones, he spoke with not directly to Odell Beckham, but he spoke with his mother. And if we're being completely honest, the Odell Beckham is in all likelihood the more possible situation for the Cowboys. The Cowboys don't like to give up picks. However, we're talking about wide receiver now. Wide receiver, they do that. But if you go to Steven and say, hey, we can keep our picks and we can go get Odell Beckham for $8 million per, I'm sure Steven will want to go out and do that. Yeah, Toxic. That's kind of crazy. Thank you, Professor O. So it'd be $8 million in dead money and what? $8 million in dead money, which you could spread out, right? You could spread that out over 2 years, and then $5 million in cap savings. I'm picking up that phone right now. Arizona, you want him or what? I keep Tober. I mean, if they want Tober instead of Gallup because the money, still do it. But I'm 100% moving Gallup to get DeAndre Hopkins. Blue Star Texas said, are we looking at a second? Yes. That for the draft folk, that would be the drawback, right? If you don't want to give up a second round pick. I say damn with that second round pick. I'm shooting for the stars for the next 2 seasons, and DeAndre Hopkins is a part of my 2-year all-in approach. 2-year all-in approach. Go get me D-Hop. Probably like a second and a fifth, something like that, right? But see, other organizations know how to recoup that. But we are talking about the Cowboys. Nick said I would hold Tolbert to see if the offense would work with them. Yeah, I'd hold Tolbert if you ain't talking about including him in the deal, right? But Nick, I'm pretty sure if they came to you and said, hey, look, we want Tolbert, but we'll give you D-Hop, you take it all day. Trip says, Sky, your 2-year approach is 2-year approach all in is exactly right. It's kind of where I'm at with it, Trip. We at this point right now where, I mean, I've said this for y'all for years. If it don't work when we go all in, fine. I'm not going to sit here and come at the organization. That never was me in the first place when people was like, oh, well, Jerry was spending money. Yeah, well, he was spending money on his guys. It didn't work. Again, he was spending money on his guys. There was a point in time, the Leonard Davises of the worlds, the Anthony Henrys, like those things were actually work. Like Anthony Henry was good. Leonard Davis was good for you. Too much of anything is a problem, though, right? Cat Williams said, too many Tylenols be your last headache. I'm not telling him to take too many Tylenols. I'm just saying. All right, before we get to the free agency primer, let me get to my Reading brother. I haven't heard from my Reading brother in a very long time. Good morning, good sir.
Good morning, my brother, and God bless you and the family and the show like always, and also to your partner in crime, Bosh and the body, blessing to his family too in this show too. I just want to say, I'm just listening to you. Everything that you're saying on point like always. And I just wanted to call in because I know I haven't been calling in a while. God bless you and keep on giving his people the real knowledge that you know. God bless you, my brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you and I hope all is well with you, man.
All right.
Man, that's cool. You just call in and just check up, man. I ain't heard from you in a while. I hope all is well with our Reading brother. Let's see here. Nappy Roots, too much anything makes you an addict. Zane says, stop the cap. Another playmaker on offense is needed. Kincaid is that. Oh, that was yesterday's show. Here's your playmaker right here. DeAndre Hopkins. Kincaid is that, man. I don't want to go back too far. Look, man, I don't know if you watch Vacha's show. Let me just reiterate this. I am not calling Kincaid a bad player. Like, Kincaid's a good player. I think he's going to be a good player in this league. If we were a team that was in absolute need of a tight end like Kincaid, I'd probably change my tune. I just don't believe we are. You know, I'm pretty much 10 toes down, and maybe, you know, I'm all about more data that changes. I'm 10 toes down on Jake Ferguson being that dude, being a guy. So me building my team, I'm looking at like I got my tight end of the future. So, and tight end is a position that I don't think is one of them positions. Like Kittle, Kelsey, you know, those are two extreme difference makers. Everybody else kind of just rotates, right? To Mark Andrews and Gesicki and Dalton Schultz and Waller, I think you put up there too. But there's like 3 of them guys. Then the rest kind of rotate throughout the season, throughout the years. Kincaid's a good player. If the Cowboys were to draft Kincaid, like I said, they need to then feature Kincaid. He cannot be, oh, he's option 3-4. Your offense also almost has to revolve around Kincaid and Lamb because you're not taking a first-round pick on a tight end to be the 3rd and 4th option. So I don't want nobody to think I dislike the kid. I think he's a good receiving tight end, but you have to use him like that. You're going to have to detach him a lot. I ain't putting him inside. He's going to get bullied. That's the thing with Jake Ferguson. I could do a lot of things with Jake. Jake is a damn good blocker. Jake can spread out. Jake can be in line. And I like my tight ends to be able to be in line with the ability to spread out, not spread out with the ability to come in line and not be good at it. So for those, I'm not sure what the name was, who was saying stop the cap, I don't like Kincaid or whatever. That ain't the case, man. Kincaid's going to be a fine player in this league. I just don't see the need for the Cowboys to take a Kincaid in round 1. because I believe in Jake Ferguson. And if you do take him, now your offense is going to probably be nerfed just a little bit because you're not going to be opening up. Here's the thing. Somebody said yesterday about, I think it was Iceberg. Well, Kincaid downfield and all this and all that. I went and looked at tight end targets 20 yards downfield. Do y'all know there's only like one tight end in the National Football League that had more than 5 receptions of 20 yards in the air? One. In fact, there's only like 3 or 4 tight ends that got more than 10 or 11 targets throughout the entire season. Most tight ends are going to be targeted on short and intermediate routes. To have the ability to get down seam is great, but for the most part, you're not throwing your tight ends 20-yard passes. It's just not happening. So that argument, I think it was yesterday when somebody was like, oh, well, he can go down. Every tight end can go downfield, but the NFL is not throwing deep balls to tight ends. That's what you got receivers for. I need my tight end to be able to find these holes. I need my tight end to be able to get some yak ability. I need my tight end to be able to secure the catch. Y'all know my man had 22 targets last year and 0 drops. Jake Ferguson. Y'all know like 70% of his yards were yak. I don't know, man. I feel like when Travis Kelce, one of the GOATs, comes out and says, that kid Jake Ferguson down in Dallas, yeah, he one of them ones. I feel pretty good about it. Nacho, what's up, man?
Good day, Sky. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, listen, the time is now. The time is now. Opportunities like that with D. Hopkins, willing to be flexible, round 2. We've misfired on round 2 players. We've taken risks and chances of players that have had, injuries or coming off of. If it's going to take that, I'm hearing that we are looking into things, right? In terms of doing the research, what is it going to take? It's pretty clear what it is. Okay, now that you've franchised Pollard and now you're going to figure out some of your players between now and the draft. Okay, you fall asleep, other teams are going to grab them. They're going to go elsewhere, and we're in the same boat we've been for the most part. So if you're going to make moves that you're going to make, the moves are now. And I'm with you. I think D. Hopkins would be an outstanding veteran guy that can come in there and be a complement to what we already have on the offensive side of the ball. Let me ask you this. Now, if Odell Beckham Jr., Hopkins, let's just say those 2 players.
Yeah.
Who would you take? Who do you want?
Oh, I would take Hopkins. It's
Okay.
way more of a short thing. Odell don't got no ACLs. so
Exactly, right?
Look, I'm not saying if the Cowboys sign Odell Beckham, I would not be on here upset. I would actually like to have an Odell Beckham if he's the one that you're going to get, because you can't land a Cooks or you can't land a DeAndre or Mike Evans or any of these other, type of receivers. And if I can get Odell Beckham without giving up compensation, I'm not going to be over here whining about it. But if between those two, give me DeAndre Hopkins. Odell Beckham, I just can't trust that he'll be healthy.
Absolute. And my hope is this, and I'll leave you with this thought. My wishful thinking is this, is that we make, how, they talked about making the big splash or this and that. Okay, you want to get the Dallas Cowboy fan base excited? Okay, then go get yourself a D. Hopkins and a Wagner, a D. Hopkins, or you really want to really make a splash? Let's go get Ramsey and D. Hopkins, okay? And then we move.
I don't think you can do
Figure
all
it all out. Put the credit card. Do what you got to do. If you're gonna be limited on draft picks, at the end of the day, a lot of these teams, like we've talked about in the past, they're making moves. They're putting the chips on the table. They're doing what they're doing. Okay, if we have that type of team, which I believe we do,
Yeah.
if we are maybe the 3rd best team in the NFC coming back, 3rd or 4th best team, what have you, you got to do what you got to do, Sky. And I'm hoping we make some noise. I'll leave you with that thought.
100%.
Have a blessed day, my man.
100%.
Have
You
a
got to
blessed day.
do what you got to do. Appreciate you, Nacho. You got to do what you got to do. Facts. And I think one of the things the Cowboys have to do is they've got to get themselves maybe not just one, maybe multiple run stoppers in this, not just the draft, but in this free agency class, specifically defensive tackle. Now, Deron Payne was the big name everybody talked about, but he got franchise tagged by Washington. In reality, that was never going to happen. So y'all know how we do in the free agency primer. We take a look at real options that the Cowboys can potentially get, and then we have a little fun with a Wildcat and Jerry option, which I'm telling you ain't that far-fetched. But let's take a look at option number 1 for the Cowboys that I have as a Catboy criteria. A guy that I think can come in here and help you in the run game department. That is one A'Shawn Robinson, who was with Detroit a few years ago, got traded to LA for essentially nothing, and was a key figure in their Super Bowl run in 2021. Now, why is he a Catboy criteria? Well, y'all know the criteria. If you're new here and you don't, let me help you. Hurt guy, cheap guy, veteran guy, or a combination of those three with some midterm upside, not long term. I don't sign these guys long term. Some midterm, meaning 2 or 3 years they can stick around as opposed to 1. That's Catboy criteria. A'Shawn Robinson fits that, man. He's a veteran guy. He got hurt last year, but he's had some productivity in this league. 6'4", 330 pounds. The dude can play. The dude can absolutely play. Now, he only played a half a season last year because he tore his meniscus, but he should be good to go. I guess it's a meniscus tear. I've torn my meniscus. Many people torn their meniscus. He should be good to go for camp at the very least, right? He's probably good to go now, for being honest. Even with him tearing his meniscus last year, even with him only playing half the season, his 49 defensive stops over the last 2 seasons puts him in the top 20. That's 49 in a season and a half. A lot of people don't have that many stops in a full 2 or 3 seasons. And then the final piece that makes him a Catboy criteria, the most important piece.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
His projected contract per PFF, 1 year, $2.5 million. I would 100% take that. Robinson in LA showed a little bit of versatility. And what I mean is LA did a lot of 3-4 type of looks where he was playing some 5-tech stuff, lined up sometimes over the tackle. And he did a phenomenal job, in my opinion, in stacking and shedding. He's going to be a run guy. Like, you're not going to get, and most of these dudes you're going to see here, in fact, all of them really, are all going to be run guys. I'm doing this on purpose. I don't think Dallas needs to go get pass rushy defensive tackles right now, unless it's one of them ones. But I think Osa, I think you got Chauncey, those 2 dudes, maybe they grab a guy in the draft, but those 2 dudes are going to be your pass rushy 3-tech types. They need guys that are going to help open up things for the defensive ends, open up things for the linebackers, but also can cause these accidents in the backfield. Y'all know I like to say that. They can cause these car accidents back there. They're not just in the way, they're causing them. A'Shawn Robinson did that for LA. Well, Sky, the Rams sucked last year. I know, we're talking individual players, though. And then how that individual player can fit in Dallas. So, Cowboys Nation. A'Shawn Robinson. We're talking Catboy criteria targets. Where on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you feel about A'Shawn Robinson on a, looks like, projected 1 year, $2.5 million deal? One year, $2.5 million. And one of the themes you're going to see with some of these players, all of them actually, are that these are mostly 1-tech, nose tackle, run guys. I'm not really going to feature any 3-tech, light in the butt type dudes. All these dudes going to be 320 plus. 320 plus. 1 to 10, a lot of people 9s. 9, 8.5, 7, 8.5, 10. Sugar Daddy Williams all in. 9. Brandon said he's fine. You got him at 8. Sky, I need to set my targets way lower. 2.5, pretty damn low, man. But you might be right about that. Larry. Oh, so the Larry. I always get his name wrong. Oganobi? Is that what it is? Oganobi. That's one of the guys that I mean is more 3 techie. I'm looking for 320 plus that could defend the run. Looking for 320 plus that could defend the run. And I'm trying to be realistic, right? Like A'Shawn is realistic. This isn't a guy that's going to cost you a lot. It's a Catboy criteria fit. DJ say 7. 2 broke to pay attention says 8, 8.5. So a lot of y'all would feel good about an A'Shawn Robinson situation. I would too. But I want to get the opinion on my guy that I talk a lot about on this show from the Cochran firm. Our guy, Mr. Brian Pope. What's good, B?
Will Skywalker Steele, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Long time no speak. I haven't talked to you since our disappointing playoff loss, man.
I'm still trying to recover from that debacle.
Yeah.
I thought we had the horses last year, but we just can't get over the hump, man. So what are we going to do that?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, right? We're trying to figure out the how to put the Cowboys in the best position. And today, I'm talking about trying to help out this run defense with these defensive tackles. Are you familiar with A'Shawn Robinson from the Rams?
He is a bad boy. Absolutely. Alabama is my football team.
There you go.
I grew up in Alabama, so I love me some A-Rob. And I think I was hearing you say you could get him 1 year at what? How much?
I believe it was 1 year, $2.5 million was the projected contract.
I know he's got the meniscus, but I think that's a great risk to take. I'd love to see him paired with Micah, and as you say, I'd like to see him cause some car wrecks in the backfield.
Yeah. But if you got real car wrecks, make sure you hit up my guy Brian down at the Cochran firm. But
that's right. We'll talk about that in a second. But what are we going to do with Zeke? Because every time you and I talk, that's always an issue we try to figure out.
Well, it sounds like, it feels like, let me say this, it feels like they're going to be moving on from Zeke. At the very least, he's going to be ripping up that contract. But when you franchise tag Tony Pollard, right, at $10 million, there's just no way you can bring Zeke back at his current contract, correct? I mean, it can't happen.
No. He'd have to take a massive cut.
Right.
I don't know if he is interested in doing that either.
And check this out.
But I mean,
not just a massive cut, B.
What's the market for him?
But doesn't he have to take a reduced role? I mean, I don't think he could be a guy that you're going to tote the rock 15 to 17 times no more.
No. 2 yards and a pound of dust. No, we've seen that play and it's not working. But what kind of market though is out there for him? I mean,
look,
I'm not sure there's much of a market.
His people went to the combine apparently to get his market value, and it doesn't sound like they came back with a reasonable answer. So it feels like they're going to try to do everything they can to stay in Dallas. He's comfortable here. He knows the guys. He knows the offense. His best friend's here. It sounds like they're going to try to work something out. It's just I don't want him to turn into a progress stopper.
No. Assuming that Pollard has a good recovery, by all indications he's going to, from his injury, he should get the burden of the load. I mean, he is a game changer, and we saw that time and again last year. The Cowboys were clicking when he was playing as well.
Yeah, look, when he went out, that changed everything in that game, and it felt like our staff had no answer from losing him. It's like they kind of was deer in headlights, like, oh my God, we lost our most explosive player. What do we do? Answer, throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb 70 times. That's kind of what happened.
Right, and that was thing I wanted to talk about was my biggest issue off season is we've got to improve the receiver core. There's no question, you look at what Philly did the off season last year. They went out and got A.J. Brown, and he was a total game changer and allowed Hurts to take to the next level.
Yep.
Devontae Smith was, getting open too. We need a playmaker to go with CD, and I love the idea of D-Hop.
I was just about to say
that is a toxic. Yeah, that's a toxic situation there. Kyler Murray's not even going to play for most of the year, so I could definitely see him coming over here. And I guess like you said, he is interested if he does it potentially being more flexible on his 2-year of contract.
Yep. He said. According to Ian Rappaport, I can't put words in his mouth. According to Ian Rappaport, he believes if he were to be traded, DeAndre Hopkins would be flexible on the contract over he has 2 years left. And his last 2 years, I believe, are extremely expensive for a team. But I think he's willing to move that money because if I'm not mistaken, most of that guarantee was probably already paid to him.
Well, I like Michael Gallup, but he is what he is. I think we know that now. He's not going to be a 1 or a 2. So I think hindsight 2020 obviously, but losing Amari for a 5th rounder, that was just criminal. We finally found out during the season how much of a loss that was, and it took so long for Dak to even feel comfortable with CD as a number 1. Just imagine if Amari had been with the team the whole time.
Yeah,
it could have been a different outcome.
Yeah, when the Joneses come out and basically admit, yeah, we messed up. We messed that one up. We put our belief in a rookie from South Alabama and a hurt guy wide receiver coming off an ACL injury. We messed that one up. But all of Cowboy Nation saw that coming. And once you got into the second round of the game where you needed some dudes, you needed your guys, you lost one of your dudes and you were down to really one dude.
Yep. And I guess the other thing I have on my notes is what are we going to do with LVE? Because, he had a good year last year. And I think it would be a hole that we'd have to plug if we lose him.
Well, Stephen Jones said he deserves to be paid. He deserves to try to get re-signed. But I just don't know about re-signing a guy long-term that has chronic neck issues, right? Listen, 1-year deal where he has to compete again, because I felt like he had to compete a little bit last year and he showed his ass off in training camp. Then it was up and down, up and down a little bit to start the season, but then he found a groove and it showed how invaluable he was to the defense in the second half of the season. So, I'm not opposed to bringing him back on a 1-year deal where he still has to compete with other guys, but I want the big fish. I want Bobby Wagner. Or I want David Long Jr. I want upgrades as opposed to just kind of remaining on the same level. I'm trying to go get a guy that can come in here and be better than LVE. Brian?
Well, I love the enthusiasm. We'll see if the Jones boys are able to follow through.
God dang it, they better follow through.
You never know with Jerry, right? I mean, his warped sense of where the Cowboys are. There was an article, I don't think you and I even talked about it, but where he talked about how the Eagles, had gone all in and basically, didn't get what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then he compared the Cowboys to the 49ers, who have 7 NFC championships and 2 Super Bowls because they haven't won a Super Bowl since the Cowboys have won one. I mean, it's just that kind of mentality, Will. I know I like your 2-year approach, but that kind of mentality is just not going to turn the team to be where it needs to be.
I 100% agree. And you could tell he doesn't even understand what's going on around the league because the Eagles did not go all in. They got 2 first-round picks.
Not at all.
They got another 2 next year or something like that. They got their quarterback is still on a rookie deal. They're in good cap situation. They're not all in, but,
Give me Howie Roseman. Come on. Give me somebody like that. Give me a football guy behind pulling the strings.
That is the thing, right? Can Jerry ever give up the GM title? It seems like he will not be able to Do that, B.
We'll talk all year about that. That ain't gonna happen.
We 100%
But,
will. But, hey, talk about the Cochran firm, though, man. Let these people know, man, what you guys do, the great work you do down there.
I appreciate that. So just to give everybody kind of a refresher, we are the Cochran firm. We have offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. We are continuing the legacy of Johnny Cochran by providing legal services to the community and abroad. Basically, people ask me, hey, what do you do? I mean, we represent people who've been injured or harmed by other people and companies' negligence. So you've got, car wrecks, truck wrecks, motorcycle wrecks, drunk driving accidents, workplace injuries. I mean, that's the focus of what we do. I thought it might be interesting, Will, as we're kicking off our second year together, a partnership, if I give you an example of some of our cases, just so the listeners out there will have an understanding of kind of what the Cochran firm, my partner Larry Taylor, and I do on
Absolutely.
a daily basis as far as trying to help people and fight for their rights. So one of our more interesting cases is I represent a guy, his family, because he was killed, who got run over by a maintenance truck backing up through an intersection, and the operator didn't look. So, we're going after the railroad company and the operator, and there's all kinds of violations, transportation safety violations, railroad safety violations. So that's one type of case that we're doing. We represent a guy who got hit from behind by a truck driver who was on his cell phone in the rain on the interstate and slammed into the back of his car because he wasn't paying attention. Distracted driving is when, a scourge that we have to deal with, and the carnage it creates is just awful. We represent a guy who got shot 10 times as he's in his car by a police officer down in Houston. He was unarmed, and the police officer had a history of shooting somebody in the back and killing them, and shouldn't have been on the force and never should have had an armed, dangerous weapon with him on the job. And finally, most interestingly, Will, Larry is not here today, but he was just approved by a federal court to be on the leadership team for the hair relaxer litigation, where we're representing women all over the country, mainly women of color, African-American women, who used the hair relaxers, and as a result of that, they have developed cancer because of the carcinogens in the chemicals.
Yeah.
And cancer of ovarian, uterine cancer, and Larry is one of the leading lawyers in the country on that, and he'll be spending most of his time on that while you and I are talking this year. So that's kind of what the Cochran firm's doing. We have a busy schedule this year, and hope that we can continue this partnership with A to Z and work with the listeners and the community, and help. Maybe we can get the Cowboys turned around, right, Will?
That's my goal, man. But your goal is to let everybody know that Cochran cares, and if they need any type of legal assistance, to reach out to you guys, because I know y'all will hold it down, because y'all been doing this since 2005, man. Appreciate you, Brian.
That's right. And so they call 1-800-THE-FIRM. That's 1-800-THE-FIRM, and we can be found on the internet at www.cochrantexas.com. And we look forward to another fun partnership year with A to Z Sports and the great Will Skywalker Steele.
You're too kind. You're too kind, B. Appreciate you, man.
Okay, you take care.
You too, man. That's Brian from the Cochran firm. Make sure y'all contact them at 1-800-THE-FIRM. I gotta get me a firm drop for those who listen to hip hop. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I gotta get me a drop for when Brian calls in. I'm gonna get me the firm drop. And that's how we gonna rock. You know what I mean? I like that. I think that's what I want to do. But make sure y'all hit them up, CochranTexas.com. Y'all know we've been showcasing them all year. They do great work. Can't wait to head back down there to do another show at their facility. It's fantastic. And I say it all the time. They fight for you. Now look, we got a lot of callers on the line. But I want to get to my second Catboy criteria guy. Before we do that, And then I'll take some more callers here. I'll get to you in a second, Glenn. I'll get to you in a second, Los. We also got MJ on the horn. But hold tight. I want to talk to you about this guy I got here in a second. I ain't talking about him. Not A'Shawn Robinson. A'Shawn Robinson, I feel a little bit more excited about than this next guy. But fits the Cowboy criteria, okay? So don't kill me, Cowboys Nation. Don't kill me. But Akeem Hicks. Here we go. 6'5", 325. Has been a run-stopping guy his entire career. He was a guy that was actually on my radar last year when he was a free agent, but then Tampa signed him to play next to or with or in reserve for their big guy Vita Vea. But Akeem Hicks fits all of the Cowboy criteria. I mean, every single last one of them. Hurt guy, should be cheap guy, veteran guy. Doesn't fit the, hey, he has some upside to stick around for a long time. No, this would be more in the mode of Brent Urban, right? Brent Urban was a pure run guy, been around the league for a bit, but was often injured. Same thing with Akeem Hicks. He only played in, I think, 11 games last year, but in those 11 games, 9 of them, he played 30 snaps or more. So when he was available, he played a lot more snaps than you would think. I don't think Akeem Hicks is going to come here and play 30 snaps 9 different times. Sometimes he played 40 snaps. I don't really see that happening with Akeem Hicks because Dan Quinn likes to rotate these guys. With that said, the next guy I talk about, he played a good bit. But in those 11 games, he did record, I believe, 15 stops. So he's a guy that can still be an impact as a run stopper. Is he going to be a high level impact player anymore? Probably not. We're talking about a dude who's about 33. So he's definitely up there in age. Damn, another guy I could have put on here. I should have because Michael Parsons brought him up. Calais Campbell. But we brought up Calais Campbell last year too. But Akeem Hicks, y'all. Projected contract, which is interesting that his would be more than A'Shawn. But PFF has 1 year, $3.5 million. Again, still cheap, not expensive. And I'd imagine in Dallas, it'd be cheaper than that. I'll ask y'all the same question I did with A'Shawn. 1 to 10. How would you feel about the Cowboys signing Akeem Hicks? I didn't give y'all a number for A'Shawn, but for me, it'd be a little bit lower than A'Shawn Robinson. I don't even think that A'Shawn Robinson is on the wrong side of 30 yet. He might be 30, but I don't think he's 33. I know he ain't no 33. So I'm more in favor of A'Shawn, but if they signed Akeem Hicks, I don't know that it'd move a needle for me, but it would address a need. Bars. Hicks would fit, says Sugar Daddy 1. Toxic said this is depressing. Wow, I'm actually shocked. A lot of you guys are pretty high on this. Swain 8.5, Hallelujah 8, Captain America 8, Gregory 7. I ain't that old. Appreciate your trip. Double R says he don't fit. You must get rut. What's that? He don't fit. You must get rut. I'm not sure what that means. Nick Burson says Hicks would be good. I plead the fifth, yo. Wow. All right. A lot of people, most people are for Akeem Hicks. If I had to give it a number, it'd be probably about a 7, where A'Shawn to me would be like 8.5. Akeem would be a 7, but I would look at it this way. Obviously 1 year deal, but guess what? I want to pair this guy. I want to pair him with somebody else. I don't want to just sign Akeem Hicks and be like, all right, wipe my hands with one tech. Nah. You know who I'd pair him with? Old Jonathan Hankins. Hear me out. Look, I usually don't include previous Cowboys. I usually try to go out in the free agent market and find guys that did not play with this team. But how can I not include Jonathan Hankins in this conversation? And of course, he fits the Cowboy criteria. Not necessarily on the hurt department, but veteran guy, cheap guy, and he's familiar with this team. Oh, and he was a difference maker. Let's not get that twisted. Now, Hankins only played in 5 regular season games for the Cowboys, but he has 7 stops in those games, and he showed his value, right? He showed his value to the Cowboys that went far beyond the actual stat sheet. Shout out to my guy, Professor O, for this. We talked about this during the season. When Jonathan Hankins was on the field, Cowboys allowed 3.6 yards per rush. When Jonathan Hankins was off the field, that almost jumped an entire yard to 4.5 yards per rush. I don't even think you needed to see the numbers to understand that, right? Because we saw the difference when Hankins went out for those 4 games. So then he comes back for the playoffs. And in the playoffs, he had another 4 stops, helped hold Tampa to 52 yards. Oh, well, Sky, it's Tampa. Cool. But he helped hold Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell and that rushing attack to 86 total yards. In fact, Christian McCaffrey averaged like 3 yards per carry. And those 86 yards that they got, a chunk of those yards came on like the last possession where Elijah Mitchell's, he got out the backfield for like a 15-yard gain or something like that. So it's clear as day that Jonathan Hankins was a difference maker for the Cowboys. And if they're going to go Catboy criteria process, right? I don't think you can just sign one of these guys. I feel like I would sign a combination. Get to camp, see who lasts, make these young guys beat out these old guys. And if they can't, now I got 2 dudes in essentially insurance. Well, Sky, that's a lot of one techs to be carrying. Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do to keep these linebackers clean. Any combination of these 3, I'd be happy about. I'd be happy about. Preferably A'Shawn Robinson and one of the other 2. But I would be mad at Hank. Not at all. Jonathan Hankins returning Cowboys Nation 1 to 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you feel? How would you feel? TC says he prefer Hankins than A'Shawn or Akeem. I think that sounds right for Cowboy fans, right? We've seen Jonathan Hankins on this team. We've seen the impact that he's had. He's closer to us than A'Shawn and Akeem are. That makes sense. If I had to pick between the 2, like Scott, you want to get one, I'd prefer A'Shawn because he's younger than the other 2. And I think he's just as good of a run stopper. But Hankins showed his worth for the Cowboys. Hankins showed his worth. Would not be mad at all bringing him back. Again, any of these dudes you sign, you don't sign them with the thought process of, I don't need to address it anymore, whether it be draft or whether it be free agency. I would actually sign them and add on to it. I'm not just stopping at one thing. All right, before I get to my Wildcat and Jerry guy, let's hit these phone lines. Let's talk to Glenn. What's up, Glenn?
Hey, what's good, Sky? Can you hear me? I'm in my car. I don't know if I'm coming in okay.
Yep, I hear you loud and clear, man.
Okay, great. Thanks for taking the call. So I totally agree as far as what the Cowboys need to do as far as plugging this middle. I think you and I talked about this late in the season. And I totally agree. The run defense, there was a night and day difference when Hankins was in the lineup. And I think the other thing that I noticed too is that when Hankins was in the lineup to stop that middle from leaking, I found that running backs weren't able to get outside anymore, because what tends to happen is when you're leaking up the middle, a lot of times your outside leverage is lost because you're overcompensating trying to stop that middle, and then all of a sudden they break outside and you're not there because you're overcompensating. I guess my point is that when that middle is plugged, teams are not only not able to get to the middle, but they're also not able to get on the outside because of the speed that we have on the ends and on the linebackers. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so also to add to that, if you're able to plug the middle, you're keeping your linebackers clean. If you're keeping your linebackers clean, they have a freer access to the edges. So I think Hankins did that for an LVE, did that for Clark, did that for whoever was playing linebacker. He helped keep those guys clean. There was only one game where the Cowboys struggled immensely in the run department with Hankins in the game, and that was Green Bay. You know, that was the only game they really struggled. If you go look at, you can say, well, what about the Bears? No, when he was in the game, the Bears only averaged like 3 yards per carry with Hankins in the game with their running backs. I'm not counting the quarterback getting outside and rushing, just purely the running backs. And if we go watch that film, you see that he helped keep Damone Clark was his first game and LVE clean in those games. So, if you can give me a guy that can help keep these linebackers clean, I think it'll help contain the edges even more because they can have free access to it. Now, when you talk about eye candy, things like that, that's a different discussion your linebackers can get held up with.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. The last point I wanted to hit, I think I kind of disagree a little bit with you on your tight end assessment. I agree Ferguson definitely has the potential to be a stud and even potentially a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. I just don't think he's ready yet. And I think a lot of that had to do with his injuries. He was out of the lineup a lot, and then I felt like Schultz was prematurely inserting himself in the lineup because he saw Ferguson shining and he felt like he had to stop that. But that's a whole nother.
So he was Jason. Was he Jason Witten Ferguson? That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that Schultz didn't want the Cowboys to really see what Ferguson could do, and I felt like had Ferguson played more and a lot of it, he had some injuries of his own, right? And that just happened.
Ferguson played in like majority of the games. I think he played like 16 games, so it's not like. In fact, Dalton Schultz missed more games than Ferguson, but Dalton Schultz, when he missed those games, it was Cooper Rush at quarterback. And if you remember some of our film study, I kept talking about what I noticed was Cooper Rush don't give a damn about the tight ends. The only time he gave a damn about the tight ends is if it was game plan to go to them. And I'm talking about like that Giants game. There was specific, schemed plays to hit a Peyton Hendershot or Jake Ferguson. But other than that, and then you saw it happen in the second half of the Eagles game. Other than that, it was like the tight end was an afterthought to Cooper Rush. And during that time that Schultz was out, I was looking at the film and I'm like, hey, man, there is opportunity for Jake Ferguson. He's just not getting the ball thrown to him.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to change. And with, with McCarthy calling the plays and I guess designing plays, we're going to see now more than ever that the tight end, ideally in this offense, is going to command the middle. I think the catch radius, and I'm not talking seams, I'm not talking getting downfield, I'm just talking about commanding double teams over the middle. I'd like to see that, and so I'm open to even trading some draft capital for an established Pro Bowl caliber tight end, or one that's marginally a Pro Bowl caliber. I heard a rumor that Andrews might be available if the Jackson contract doesnn't work out. I don't know how valid that is, but I'd be willing to give up some capital to get a guy like that as my starter, because I think if McCarthy is truly committed to trying to be more ball control, and I'm not saying 3 yards in a cloud of dust, I'm talking about moving the sticks, you're going to need more at tight end. And so I'd be open to upgrading the offense with and pairing Ferguson with a stud tight end. I'm not saying replace. I'm saying pairing him and also having Ferguson learn. So I'll take the answer off air to get your thoughts on that. Thanks for taking the call.
Appreciate you, Glenn. I can't fake the funk, y'all. If I'm not willing to spend if I'm not all for spending a first round pick on tight end, I'm 100% not willing to trade capital and pay a whole lot for quote unquote essentially just a chain mover. Try to make sure I get these words right here. From what you were saying, you're like, well, if the offense is going to be more of a ball control middle of the field, like the job of the tight end for the most part is to do that in general. And again, I look at Jake Ferguson and I don't see why he can't do that. I just don't see why Jake can't control the middle of the field. I had the stat earlier where if you're talking about getting downfield, well, majority of all tight ends in the league, most of their catches are coming short and intermediate. So like that is almost the job of the tight end, to be the quarterback's friend Dalton Schultz did it. Look, we're not big Dalton Schultz fans here, but Dalton Schultz did exactly that very well. He just caught the ball, moved the chain, got your first downs. I mean, if you're talking about getting a difference-making type of tight end, that tight end then would have to have some yak ability that Dalton Schultz didn't have. I think Jake Ferguson has. That tight end has to be able to block too, right? Because tight ends are going to be dealing with defensive ends a lot in this league, linebackers a lot in this league. What makes George Kittle so great is that he is not just an elite receiver; he's an elite blocker. And then if you're not going to be one of those blockers, damn it, you better be an elite Hall of Fame wide receiving tight end like a Kelsey. And I'm not trying to undervalue the tight end position, because I believe that the tight end position can be an X factor if you utilize it right. Maybe I'm just a homer, but I feel like Jake Ferguson checks all the boxes for me. I feel like Jake Ferguson has exceptional hands. I feel like he's really damn good after the catch. I feel like he can be a dog in the blocking department. He has that linebacker mentality. I feel like he can do up the seam things. I've seen him do overs. I've seen him have quick hips in the play action department, getting his hips around and his eyes around, catching the rock, getting upfield real quick. I've seen him make people miss. I feel like Jake just checks the boxes for me at the tight end position. Now, if you're like, hey, Sky, I want to get more. I want my offense to have the tight end detached and be like an extension of a wide receiver. I wouldn't say that's Jake Ferguson. That'd be more of the Kincaid, the Waller, the Kelseys of the world. And then you operate your offense in that manner. But I don't think that's going to be the case here with Mike McCarthy. I don't think that they're going to look to detach their tight end majority of the time. I like my tight end to be able to do things from the interior, because you can do so many more things from a play action department, from a route department. He has a access inside, outside, up the seam, as opposed to if you spread him out wide. Majority of the time, that's where he's going to be. Play action really is not going to affect anything. I'm getting one-on-ones with a linebacker or a safety. I don't know, man. I'm starting to feel like a bit stubborn on Jake Ferguson. Is it bullish? I'm a bit bullish on Jake Ferguson. I don't think I'm the only one in that department, but I'm willing to move. I'm willing to move off of it if the Cowboys are willing to move in a different direction of what they want the responsibility of the tight end to be. Good call, Glenn. Let's get Los real quick, and then I'm gonna get into my Wildcat and Jerry guy for defense tackle. What's up, Los?
Good morning, Sky. Now, I know when we're talking about free agents, we have to talk about the cap. And if they've been a hurt guy, can they play exceptionally well when injured? Or flat out, or never use, James Washington, those type of cats, right? So if I were to give you those type of situations, I can only give you two names offensively that can give you that and can come here and produce. And you tell me what you think, Sky.
Okay.
Nelson Aguilar from the Patriots, who's 30, and you touched on it, Robert Woods, 31, from the Titans. And I think both of these wide receivers can still be solid enough with a good offensive scheme and a good run game, and that's something I think Cowboys want to build off, especially seeing this team need someone to take coverage off of CD and Gallup at times. So, those are the two names I can give out there. But if I didn't give a damn about no damn budget, give me Jacoby Myers and David Long, that linebacker from the Titans, and let's ride. Let's see what we can do
You're
this
the second
offseason.
person that brought up Jacoby Myers.
Opinion. Huh?
You're the second one that brought up Jacoby Myers. I'm not a bit. Look, I think he'd be fine for somebody else. I feel like he'd be super redundant here. But David Long Jr., I'm all in on David Long Jr.
Gotcha. I just feel Jacoby Myers would be a great fit here, just because necessarily he doesn't have to be a one, but he will be a great number two with his, route running. He's a good route runner. He can catch the ball, and he's shown the ability to be a number one at times, but I think he's better fit number two. And that's just my opinion. But, you just tell me what you think, Sky, about those two names, Nelson Aguilar and Robert Woods, and I'll leave you with that, Sky. Peace.
All right, appreciate you, Los. Yeah, we talked about Robert Woods a couple weeks ago. I think he's definitely fits the mold of T.Y. Hilton, veteran guy, can be available for your quarterback, knows how to get open, knows how to find the soft spots, short-handed. Yeah, Robert Woods will be a quality veteran depth guy. I wouldn't be done though. I would still try to get me a young guy to develop to compete with your Tolberts of the world, right? But that would be like, okay, I can't go get D-Hop. I can't get Odell. And like Lo said, let's try to find the cheap options. Woods, Aguilar turned it around. You know, he had that Super Bowl run, but he was a joke in Philly for quite some time. But then I think he went to Oakland, had a solid year. I think the Patriots. Aguilar didn't move the needle for me, but man, that's like I said, Robert Woods and T.Y. was the bare minimum. I feel like Aguilar's was below that, but he's had some good years. Wouldn't move the needle for me. Would feel much like a James Washington type of move, if I'm being honest. Yeah, but Jacoby Myers, it's the second day in a row we brought up Jacoby Myers. Nah, I mean what his market value I think was actually pretty higher than I thought it would be, and I'm good. I want somebody better, and I feel like you bring him here, and I got Jacoby Myers, I got Michael Gallup. They're fighting for pretty much the same thing. I need somebody with a completely different skill set than that dude, or one of them dudes like a D-Hop. That's just me. Like he said, his opinion, that's my opinion. Not calling Jacoby Myers a bad player. I just don't see it here. Just don't see it here. But you know what I do see? I see this guy as a massive fit for the Cowboys defense. Been trying to get this dude on this team for the last couple seasons. When he hit free agency, when he was possibly available for a trade in New York. No, he's not. It might be better. No, he's not Deron Payne of last year. But if you had a consolation prize or a second place prize from a Deron Payne, without a doubt, Dalvin Tomlinson is it. Now let's just start with the damn money first, because this is why he's a Wildcat and Jerry guy. If you look at PFF, about $11 million per year. You look at his market value on Spotrac, it's about 8 and some change, 8.5. Find a middle ground there, $9 million. Make it happen. Let's make it happen. You want a run-stopping dude? This is a run-stopping dude. Now, he only played in 13 games last year for the Vikings. Prior to that, he played 16 games every season, every single year. So this ain't no cat boy criteria. This guy plays, and he's good, and he ain't gonna be cheap. He had 42 tackles last year, 2.5 sacks, 20 solo tackles, even got in 10 quarterback hits. But don't get it twisted. I ain't trying to sign Dalvin Tomlinson to sack the quarterback. I'm signing him to bully these offensive linemen like you see him doing and stopping the run. Since 2017, he has the third most tackles for loss or no gains in the entire National Football League. He got a high motor. He's dumb strong, country strong, and he's smart as hell when it comes to defending the run. If you actually go look at the Ashons, the Hankins, the Thompson, these are veteran guys that know how to defend the run. It's one thing to be big, and this is not a shot at a guy like Bo or a guy like who's the cat, Big Country, that we drafted. Like, these guys are big, but they don't know how to stop the run in the NFL just yet because they're young and they're getting there. These guys know how to do it, and Tomlinson knows how to do it at a high level. Now, they actually use him in Minnesota a little bit more as a 3-tech dude, but this is a guy that can line up over the center. He can line up on shade to the other side as a 1-tech. And you want to talk about causing accidents? It's Dalvin Tomlinson. He's going to cause accidents. So, not going to be cheap. But he also ain't going to be $20 million that Deron Payne would have cost you. If you could settle on anywhere between $8.5 and $11 million, Cowboys Nation, how would you feel about that for a Dalvin Tomlinson? Scale to 1 to 10. Man, it's a 10 for me. It's a 10 for me. Captain America, hell yeah, the Dalvin Tomlinson, yup. Says it man. Bama definitely knows how to make good plays for sure. 10, I mean, lots of 10s here, 9.5. DP been hollering for Dalvin Thompson for a minute. Yeah, I've been trying to get this man on this team. It felt like ever since I started doing Cowboys talk on it. Oscar said, all these former Alabama players, look, dog, they know how to make them. They know how to make them, man. Okay, that's David G talking about the tight end. I think we all on board. with Dalvin Tomlinson. Now. Would Jerry be on board?
I don't have the patience to jack with you today.
We know who wouldn't be.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
We know who wouldn't be. I think Dalvin, somebody asked, how old is Dalvin? I think he's like 29. I believe he's the youngest of the bunch. I could be wrong here, but I believe he's like 29. So he's not on the other side. But can you imagine, though, Cowboys Nation, putting Dalvin Tomlinson next to Osa, and then I guess you could have Golston in there, and then Micah Parsons is behind. I mean, Dalvin Tomlinson could be one of those difference makers up front that can help elevate your defense. And that's really what I'm looking at. I feel like the other three dudes that we talked about, not saying that Hankins and Ashawn being a run stopper that they are, won't help your defense. But I think Tomlinson could be one of them hump type guys. Truly. Nah, Matisse. No. Look. Go look, Matisse. Go look. This is the Wildcat and Jerry part. This is the one where we're supposed to have some fun. The Catboy part we got, the realistic part we talked about. This is the Wildcat and Jerry part, man. DJ, how you feel about Dalvin Tomlinson and some of these guys that we just talked about here?
Man, it's good. I just put it in the chat, man. Like, I'd be at like an 8.5 on the scale of 10, right? Mm-hmm. But if they address it with one of the other guys, the cheaper guys, I've been standing for keeping Hankins all off season. So if they kept Hankins and added Tomlinson, then I'm a 10 all day on that, for sure. But I know that's the Wildcat inside. So the way that I feel about it is, if they go out and get two of the three, they get Akeem Hicks and Ashawn, or keep Jonathan and Hicks, or some kind of mixture of the guys, then I'm cool. But like I said before, it's all about keeping the floor where you need it, because it was good. It was more than good. So I would really, really want to bring Hankins back and then add an addition to it. That's just how I've thought about it this whole time. I've kind of settled in on that idea. Now, of course, because I settled in on it, it's definitely not going to happen that way now. That's just how it goes with me.
We can't get our hopes up with this team, right? We got to protect ourselves a little bit.
For sure, man. But, I think just ask Dan Quinn who he wants or who he thinks would be the best guy, and then make the money work after that. Like, that's how I feel about it at this point. Like, Dan Quinn's got this whole thing kind of figured out, right? So,
that's a good point, yo. DJ, if I'm Dan Quinn, I start using the juice I got, right? Because look, Dan Quinn might be the most favorite coach the Cowboys have had in a very long time. What I mean by favorite is Mike loves Dan Quinn. Jerry does, because of what he's done with this defense. So if I'm Dan, I'm going to try to put on the GM hat a little bit. Hey man, look, what do you think about going to get me Dalvin Tomlinson? I'm telling you, man, this guy can make a difference for this team. Help you get. You got to use the Super Bowl word when it comes to Jerry Jones. It can help you. It can help you get the Super Bowl. Maybe Dan Quinn, because he's one of the most favorite coaches in a long time in Dallas, can help Jerry bring in a guy like a Dalvin Tomlinson. You might be on to something.
For sure, for sure. And of course, he'd have to preface it by saying, "Well, of course, if it's like 15 million, of course not. I understand." But like, hey, Jerry, if it's 11, I would really consider that. You know what I mean? Like,
use my juice if I was him, yeah.
For sure, for sure. And then the last thing on this tight end thing, man, I'm with you on Ferguson. I'm like, even if you compare, like, anybody that you can get, right, within reason, like, some guys are going to cost too much. Like, I think Andrews was brought up. I'm like, that's just going to cost too much. To spend the first-round pick, even understanding that it's college film versus NFL film, are any of these guys' film better than what Ferguson or Hendershot put up last year for what you feel like your tight end is going to do? Darnell Washington's a different monster, right? Like, he's doing something completely different. And then I did get to watch him last night with Vox. So, like, he's bringing something completely different to the table for you. But Kincaid, the one that is the big talk about who's actually going to be coming, at least from what I've heard on Twitter and how people are speaking, like, there's nothing that he did on film that we didn't get from Hendershot, that we didn't get from Ferguson. And I could argue that Ferguson and Hendershot's NFL film versus NFL competition was still better than Kincaid versus college players. So I'm with you. I'm like, hey, let's rock with what we got. I mean, we have Ferguson and Hendershot, and if you want to argue Kincaid over Hendershot, that's still not putting him in the conversation with Ferguson.
Well, and then putting him in the conversation for round one, because I'm not drafting a tight end to be round one to be a tight end.
No, absolutely not.
Kincaid got some.
Absolutely not.
He got some fun highlights for sure. He got fun film. I mean, if you're looking,
no, it's good. It's fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, if you're looking for that style of tight end, I mean, again, I don't want people to think I don't like the kid. I think the kid's going to be a good player. I just in this situation, I think I got my guy right. But if I was looking for that type of tight end, or I didn't have a tight end, yeah, he 100% is in the equation for some of these teams. But I'm pretty much 10 toes on Jake. But Kincaid, I mean, he got, like I said, fun tape, man. Good hands. He's a former basketball player. He can get up and grab it, make some highlight catches. Tough dude, finesse player, but that's what he is. He's a wide receiver at tight end for you. That's what he's going to be.
And again, this just comes back to the draft him in the first round, after what Broadus said.
Yeah.
And I feel about tight end how everybody wants us to feel about drafting running back in the first. Like, it's just a non-consideration for me unless you're just having, like, what you feel like we talked about the other day. Like, it's going to be a Hall of Fame guy, and for sure it's going to be a Hall of Fame guy. Like, it doesn't translate for me. Like, it's like reading Chinese. I don't even understand it.
Yeah. The way I used it was, is this kid special? Like, I don't view him as special. So if he's not special to me at that position, I like what I got. You got to be special for me to kind of go away from what I got. But maybe Dallas, that's what they want to do. Maybe Dallas believes he's special. And again, we're projecting. We don't know if Dallas actually likes Kincaid that much, but maybe it's Mayer, because actually Mayer fits more the style of what Dallas likes. A guy that's a combo tight. You know what I'm saying? A combo tight end, can do the blocking, can get out, be in line. He's more of what Dallas is like traditionally anyway. So
what we need to do is be like, hey, if we think about this guy lined up at fullback, like how much do I like him there? Like, that's how I have to start grading, because that's how we haven't had a fullback since Olawale in like 17, 18, something like that. So, and they've been using tight ends for that ever since. So maybe that's how they're thinking about it. Mayer.
Mayer. I'm about to say Kincaid is not the guy you want to do fullback things. Oh my goodness, no. I think they're actually going to take one, whether it be the draft or sign one. I think we're actually going to have a fullback on this roster. That's one thing that McCarthy absolutely loved to have, was a fullback.
For sure.
John Coon?
Was it
cool?
For sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Cool. Spelled differently, but yeah, it was cool.
Yep. Get out of here, dog. Save that for later, 3:00.
All right, man. I'll get out of your way.
All right, bro. Appreciate it, DJ. Y'all ain't shit, man. It's a fascinating conversation. I think the Dalvin Tomlinson one is easy. It's easy. If signing a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson does not get you excited, you might need to hit up Boston Scientific. In the U.S., more than 39 million men suffer from ED. And Boston Scientific has created edcure.org to help you find your best cure. Easy to get started, man. Head on over to edcure.org, take the quiz, learn your severity or risk of ED, and they got customized content just for you. The fastest way to find your best cure is to contact the ED specialist by browsing a list of experienced physicians in your area. Again, if it doesn't excite you, you might need to hit up Boston Scientific. I'm telling you, it ain't hard, but you can be.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
I promise you. Boston Scientific did not expect this. We are a prestigious organization. We will not stand for any of this foo-foo. What do you want me to do, man? Don't put me on TV. I want to stay right here so I can do stuff like this. Right here. We got a guy that snuck up in here, or guy, I don't know who 602 is. Let me do Marv first. Let me hit up Marv first, because we don't know which way we gonna go with Magic City. Magic City Marv, what's up, man?
What up, Steer?
What's good with you?
Day, brother?
It's going well, man.
I'm good.
We're on good timing and everything.
I know. Well, you make good sense. Because remember, we wanted Payne, but it's too much. But Dalvin Thompson with Hankin in the middle, and then you got Smith, D-Law, and then you got our linebackers, Parson, 33, 14, and 50, if we don't keep 55. And then if we get Dalvin, we could put 24 at safety. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I'll give what you call number one a chance to play free safety because he run a 4-3. He played that in college too. And then you drop in the corner. You go with other corner with Bland in the slot.
Number 25.
You have one of the most dangerous defense. If we stop that middle of the defense, make that our strength, now our DNs can eat and our linebackers.
I love how
Hankins and
I love how you connected the whole defense to the middle, because that is kind of the domino effect you can have, right? Like if you can impact the middle of that pocket or stop the run, it has a domino effect on everything behind it. So good point, Marv.
That would be cold. You know something? So I'm thinking the same thing because I've been wanting Dalvin too. So if you get Dalvin, they're not going to sign 6. And we can replace 6 because we got a lot of
Donovan Wilson. Yeah. I'm starting to come around to that too. I'm just kind of preparing myself that Dono will not be back. I feel like he's actually going to have a solid market. And I think they're going to roll with Malik, J-Ron, Izzy, and we keep forgetting about the kid from South Florida or Florida A&M, but they were high on him. And in fact, it was Dan Quinn who said we think he can do linebacker things. So and Marquise Bell. So
you go.
I think they're gonna let Dono walk.
Yeah. So we get one of them fast corners to go with your boy, and then get this safe. But the key, we got to play the middle. All our young linebackers will be ready. Harper, your boy 33, he should be all the way ready. Now 14 is already healed to go with Parsons. Now we got speed. The middle is covered with them big, so them guys can run, because you want them big boys in the middle, like you say, so them boys can get all them sacks and stopping that run in the screens. So it'll be set. And now on the offensive part, get a guard, and then the tight end. If they jump to Notre Dame tight end, I'm going to be mad. That means they're going to use them a lot.
That's a good point.
Which is,
and that's what I was saying, Marv. Like, if they take the guy in the first round, I think we have to now, whether it's Mayer or Kincaid or Washington, although Washington be interesting. I think we have to come around to that. He's going to be a feature part of the offense.
Thank you. He's going to be blocking. He's in the backfield.
Be blocking, yeah.
Because me and you, because you've been to the camp, I'm going to tell y'all again, y'all can kick me in my butt. Simi is going to turn it out. Your boy from Cleveland that got a second chance. This is a chance to feed his family. Thank you. It's like you give me a second chance. I was good at.
I'm going to talk up Simi. I'm probably going to be one of the content creators that people won't get mad at. Well, the YouTubers kept talking about Simi and he ain't do nothing. I'll probably be that one because I think Simi Fehoko showed a lot in training camp, man. Only to
he sure did.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic in camp. I kept saying I thought he would be competing with Noah, but I think Noah being around, knowing the offense, he got the nod.
That stupid offense.
Yeah. And then Simi got hurt. But, yeah, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the Simi Fehoko fan club guy.
And look at this still. Our receivers, I'm going to tell y'all again.
In closing.
They get the chance to run. Just put it this way. They get the chance to play football instead of getting the chance of thinking and running the wrong routes.
Right.
You're going to see, I'm going to tell all them guys are yak guys, and they about to turn it out. And it's going to make our corners even better because these receivers are going to go eat.
Right.
So our corners in practice is going to have to play. So it's going to be, like y'all say, steel cut steel. This is going to be beautiful. So I'm just excited. And we got rid of the cancer is gone. San Diego and California up here, y'all going to have them. Thank God.
My man.
Let's get this.
Appreciate you, Ma.
So.
Peace. They not in San Diego no more, Mar, but we get the point. Yeah, man. I'm gonna be probably waving a Simi flag this summer. See what happens. If you noticed, none of the young guys really showed anything because you heard what Tolbert said and what others, what quarterbacks have said. I just don't think the offense it favored young guys. In fact, Simi brought it up. I think Simi talked about the complexity of it as well. And now you can say, well, that's a detriment on the player. He couldn't pick it up. That's true too. That's true too. Because I see my man said he didn't show anything in the games. Well, shit, he didn't play. Tober didn't show nothing. Dennis didn't show nothing. Simi didn't show nothing. None of our young guys showed anything from a wide receiver standpoint. I don't personally think that's a coincidence. The one dude who was a young guy that showed something in this offense happened to be sandwiched between two established guys, and he primarily worked in the slot in the middle of the field, and that's CeeDee Lamb, and he was CeeDee Lamb, right? I think when you're talking about developing young guys, it was harder, and it's clear as day that it was harder. Clear as day. Hell, they thought Dennis Houston was a guy who got cut right away. Tober couldn't even line up right, couldn't even put him out there. Simi might have got your ankle hurt situation. I don't know for sure, but he did get put on IR. Now, I don't think the offense, we talked about this before, I don't think this offense is going to be as difficult to grasp for these wide receivers because they won't be asked to think too much out there. They can just go play. And I think that'll help showcase guys that have I don't use the word special, but have a certain trait. Their traits can now be on full display. 602, send us out.
Skywalker Steel, what's going on?
What's up with you?
Man, Phil, it's your boy DP Johnson from Arizona. What's going on, man?
What's up, DP?
Man, I got so excited when I seen you put that boy Dalvin Thomas on the list. You know, I've been writing in about him for a couple weeks now, man. That dude is a beast in the middle.
That's our guy, man.
Yeah, man. I really think if we can re-sign Hank and then bring in Dalvin to help rotate him, number one, the depth and the physicality that brings to the middle of your defensive line.
DP,
tremendous. I think it would. Yeah.
It sounds like you're muffled a little bit, man. Like you're talking to me through a T-shirt over your phone. You got me on speaker?
Hold on for a second. Let me move location. Can you hear me a little better?
Yeah, it cleared up. Yep, it cleared up.
All right, yeah, I was handling some business in the yard, but
Gotcha.
Yeah, that boy Dalvin, man, he's a beast against that run. He's the type of dude who his game is a lot like how Big Bo tried to describe his own game coming out of Kentucky. You know, I'm gonna beat that center up, give him a long day, and my linebackers gonna love him. You know what I mean? I think we need that mindset in the building. We have done a great job of building our pass rush and our coverage units, but our run defense has been lacking. And I think he's a guy who can come in and be a solution for that.
Again, when your star player comes out and says, I want a guy like Deron Payne, you better listen. Right? Like he's the one that's out there. He understands, he sees, and he feels what's going on and what's needed in front of him or next to him or whatever. Like, you should listen, Steven. You should listen, Jerry.
Yeah. And like your previous caller was saying, when you got that hog in the middle that you can't leave one guy on because you know that hog is going to eat that dude up, then all of a sudden that affects everything across the front.
Right.
Because now either one of these guards has to commit to him, which means one of these guards can't go get the linebacker.
Right. And we saw think about this. We saw how that helped elevate LVE alone. That one thing made LVE look so much better. Right. So imagine what that could do if you got an even better player than LVE next to him.
Yeah. And just because you brought him up, I just want to say again, all due respect to him. And but LVE, you had a great run, sir. As much as people have grown affection for LVE, he's never played at Sean Lee's level, so there's no need in letting him pull a Sean Lee.
Ooh, I feel you. Because a lot of people are going to say, well, we see what he did last year, but I would say, well, that was a detriment to the depth of your linebacker room than anything. I agree.
He's definitely
he ain't no Sean Lee.
He's definitely becoming a placeholder who really shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of folks are going to say, well, once Hankins came in and, the end of the season, LVE played so much better and all that. And, yeah, he did play better than when he was playing at the beginning of the season.
Right.
But when the numbers come in and you give up more yards per tackle than every other linebacker in the league, it means that you hurt us being on the field.
Hey, look, I'm swinging.
We literally could have put anybody else in there and would have gave up less yardage.
I'm in a way swinging for the fences at that position, and then if I land on LVE, that's cool. But I'm not going out and saying LVE's priority.
To me, LVE is a guy that you visit after the draft. You visit with him after the draft. If his number is going to be low enough because LVE doesn't play any special, his number has to be low enough that you can be okay with saying, I can bring you in knowing you're going to be no more than my third or fourth linebacker.
Yeah, I don't mind him competing.
Fit,
yeah, I don't mind. If we bring him back, he has to compete again. I felt like he rose to the challenge in the preseason or in the offseason, and then eventually he played better in the regular season. But I'm not bringing him back and guaranteeing him a damn thing. You're going to compete, man. They don't.
Yeah, he got to fight for anything.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
would have to fight for anything. I do like the point that y'all brought up about Simi. I think last year everybody was really, really frustrated because of the Cooper trade, and so everybody got on Toby. But Simi been here 2 years. What has he done?
He hasn't been able to do nothing.
The same coach left him on the bench that left Tolbert on the bench. Like,
right. I think we have enough evidence now to say this offense is not designed for young guys. And again, McCarthy, we talked about this on Monday. McCarthy threw out little hints at Kellen Moore, but so did Jerry.
What did Will McClay say? What did Will McClay say? You forget about Will McClay's interview too. Will McClay said, now we have coaches in-house who will play the players that we bring in.
Yeah, and I was going to get to Jerry saying that he came out flat out and said it. We want to have a scheme that will get the most out of these young players. Like, he flat out came out and said it. That's basically a shot at Kellen Moore.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think honestly, it's natural for Cowboys Nation to panic in the off season. It's kind of what we do, especially when we know there's going to be some changes.
I don't think there's panic.
Looking over,
I think there is a
I
calm.
don't think it's panic either. I think it's more this year. It's just a little uneven.
I think there's a calm of just we kind of know what to expect, but we also have to do our preparation of preparing for what to expect. I don't think there's any panic right now, man. It's 27 years, 28 years, whatever it's been. But hey, DP, appreciate you calling in, big dog. I'm gonna keep it moving, man.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes,
take
sir.
it easy, Scott. You have a good one.
Yep, talk to you later, man. King, you out. All right, man, that's DP. Touched on a number of things. Appreciate you. Let me get to these super chats. Let me get up out of here. Good time in the day. Good stuff today. Did I miss any? I think we good, actually. Yeah, we're straight. Perfect. For those who missed today's show, let me run this back just a little bit. We talked about my Catboy criteria guys. And those Catboy criteria guys, Ashawn Robinson at defensive tackle, Akeem Hicks, and Jonathan Hankins. If you don't know what Catboy criteria is, run this thing back so you can understand. All these dudes are going to be cheap options. They fit a need. They allow you to go into the draft and say, hey, we don't have to take this player early in the draft. Doesn't matter. The Cowboys never draft a defensive tackle early. Hell, they hardly ever draft a defensive tackle like this, period. Big Bo was the first guy they drafted that was of that size in like 20 years. So they're not going to do it, which is why I started the show off with Dallas has to address this position in free agency, and they can't play around with it. Technically, if you just sign an Akeem Hicks, I think you're playing around. I feel like you gotta swing a little bit harder than that. You got to try to hit a double at least. Get me a couple of these dudes. And I feel like pairing and Jonathan Hankins with one of these guys would be perfect because Hankins was here, and now you're bringing another dude. And now, much like what Philly did, where they could roll out 5 or 6 defensive tackles, you can start to do a little bit of that. Jonathan Hankins, Ashawn, Golston, Osa. I don't know what they're going to do with Neville. Kind of feels like a lost cause, and then address it more in the draft. You still got Bo that's here as well. So these are my Catboy guys. And then Dalvin Tomlinson is my Wildcat and Jerry guy. You get a Dalvin Tomlinson, I don't think you need to sign another dude that's going to cost you $3 million. You can go get you your Brent Urban, right? Had Brent Urban just been a reserve dude, Brent Urban, they was asking Brent Urban to play 30 snaps. It's like, that's not what we want from a hurt guy. But if you can get a Dalvin Tomlinson and a Brent Urban type, I roll with it. But if you're not going to get Dalvin Tomlinson, you got to get a combination of these three. Combination of these three. With that said, y'all, as I'm looking over here in the chat, like everybody is saying in this chat, please, please, please hit the like button if you enjoyed today's show. It is how we can get this content out there, get the algorithm popping so people can know more about the A to Z Sports Dallas brand, which is growing. I told you guys the other day, A to Z started off with a handful of teams. They're now up to 22 teams and will be at 32, covering all 32 teams by the end of the summer. But the Dallas brand, bro, we took this Dallas, but I say we because y'all part of this thing. We took this Dallas brand to the moon, and it's still going. I feel like we are a legit thing here in Dallas. We're only one of, I think, 3 that has a broadcasting aspect to it with A to Z, and we're only going to get better, man, with the help of y'all. So keep supporting if you can. Head to A2ZSportsDallas.com. Check out all of our talented writers, including Mo, who will be on later for the primetime show. We got so many talented writers. Lennox, we got Carter, man, just so many guys and we're adding, right? We're adding to this thing, to this whole entire A to Z Sports Dallas company. So keep supporting us, man. I will be on Vacha's show later, 3:15-ish. We're talking draft. I think we're going to be looking at some mock drafts. I love Vach is when I'm on that show talking draft. He helps me get in the lab to take a look at some of these players. Because you got to know what the hell you're talking about when you're dealing with watching this damn draft, man. You got to know what you're talking about. Another guy you got to know what you're talking about, Foots the King. I talked to Foots yesterday. Next week, we're starting our on-the-clock draft series. Foots is up first. Probably going to talk about receivers. I said that yesterday, but I think we're saving it for next week. So tomorrow will be Friday. I'll be opening the show up to you guys. It'll be another Fan Friday. I might drop a mailbag segment. It's about that time of the off season. So I might drop a mailbag questionnaire. Keep an eye out for that. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell so you know when it's dropping in our community. Other than that, 3:15, this is crazy. It is kind of crazy. We start off at 3:06. I'm going to hit this button and get up out of here. Here we go. I don't know, man. And people over there think it's always me. It ain't always me. It ain't always me. Sometimes it is me. I ain't gonna lie. Half the time it is me. CP time on here is weird, but in real life, I'm on time. I love y'all. We out. Peace.
Squad!